out, call the cops on me. On a mission to be champs since they let me free. Prepare for combat, my adversaries crumble. Face it, I got a reputation for damage. Busters get ready to rumble. They lock me in a cell, have me trapped in a living hell. Though not guilty, I'm still in jail. Brother, I serve my time like a soldier. Maintain composure. My shadow boxing, a fight to the death, busting boulders. Every boxer with a pair of gloves. Best give up love. Here's a man from the makings of a thug. A lethal weapon, mind sharp. And in my heart, there's a wish to shake the world with the flurry of my black fist. Now once a high school dropout, now I'm the $1 million champ. Who's the next to get knocked out? Straight out of Brooklyn and worldwide.
What's going on, everybody? Another episode of Cheat Seats Box Show. Angelo here, boy JP. JP, what's up, man?
You know we about to go in on this one.
Yes, sir. First things first, follow us on Twitter, Cheap Seats Box, iTunes and Stitcher. Rate, review, and subscribe. You can be the next unofficial sponsor. Help us out, people. Take the time out, rate and review it. You help us keep up on that status when the people search your iTunes and boxing.
And the Zoom listeners, too.
You know how we do it. You can email the show, cheapseatsboxing@gmail.com. Questions, comments, anything like that. I was going to say something else, but we're going to hit that up because I want to start having the people listen to actually tell us certain things. You know, like when we ask their responses to stuff. I guess if you want, I never check it. I never even go on it. The Patreon thing, patreon.com. You can search Cheap Seats Boxing. If you ever want to make a donation, we would greatly appreciate it. Other than that,
the Church of Boxing.
That's it.
Tithe and offer.
All we ask is the first 10% of your income. That's all we are asking for. No. This past weekend, let's just get into it. Canelo, Liam Smith, 9th round stoppage. JP, what'd you think, man?
Well, we got the good and we got the bad. Like I said before, I think Canelo could fight. He could just fucking fight. I just think he's smart. He threw some combinations that freaked me out, that had me laughing. The jab, head, body, head combination. I was like, this dude, okay. He works the hooks and uppercut. And that was just left-handed combinations. His punch selection was dope. But Liam Smith was there like a punching bag most of the time. He started off high guard. He kept high guard for about 3-4 rounds. Then I think maybe the 4th, 5th, 6th, he started to open up for 10, 15, 20 seconds a round. And then he got caught. And then it was like, okay. So it wasn't a competitive fight because I think Liam Smith came to survive. I don't think he came to fight. Because it didn't look like he was trying to actually be opposition. I can't blame Canelo for that. That's all on Liam Smith. So, but I think he looked good. And at the same time, it's like, I saw people giving him much props about, oh yeah, we see he could beat Triple G. It's something about it that's just lacking to me. He's accustomed to being bigger than fighters. He's accustomed to being stronger than fighters. He's accustomed to them not having as much punching power as he has. Or he's accustomed to them, if they have punching power, to be drained. It's like, it's too many factors in there. It's like, man, what you need is a straight up fight. Mm. Just a straight up fight. Because sometimes these factors, they might come back to bite you in the butt. But overall, like I said, he's a smart fighter. He can fight. But it just, I can't jump on the bandwagon and say he's going to beat Triple G because Triple G can take punches from middleweights. I'm not too sure if Canelo can.
Well, it actually just went exactly the way I thought it was going to go. I didn't think it was much of a matchup. It wasn't. I didn't think it was going to be competitive, and it wasn't. Even though you had a lot of people try and tell you, oh, no, I think it's going to be more competitive than people think. No, it was actually, I said he'd win 9 to 10 rounds. He won 9 rounds. I didn't think he was going to stop him, but he won all 9 of the rounds that was actually fought. I don't even think Liam Smith came close to winning a round. He did towards the end put in a better effort, but he was there to be beat. Like, and from the beginning, he really didn't pose any threats. Like, he didn't do anything where he thought, he's coming to win this fight. It wasn't until he was down where it's like, okay, now he's not giving up. That heart that he has kicked in, but he didn't seem to have that from the get-go.
Yeah.
I don't know what his game plan was, what he expected to happen, how he wanted Canelo to come out. The high guard was going to be there. I said he was going to do that. I said he wasn't going to punch as much. He didn't. He's not a high-volume puncher anyway. He was going to be even less because Canelo was going to have him thinking. It just was what it was. This is what we said when you fight. And even though I know we don't know shit about boxing, if you ask the people now on YouTube, we're getting hate from everywhere. I love it. I'm getting hate on YouTube, getting hate on Twitter, everywhere. I love it. I'm loving it. Next thing you know, they're going to be emailing me hate. I love it.
Hate.
But this fight showed nothing. Liam Smith, we said, was like the 6th, 7th best junior middleweight. He proved everything that we thought. The reason being that I've gotten so hard on Canelo for this is because now we know he fractured his hand or his thumb, so he's going to be out the rest of the year. So that's probably going to push back the Canelo fight, which I had already predicted was going to get pushed back to May anyway of 2018. And if it doesn't, I'm glad to be wrong. I'm glad to be wrong if it's September of 2017. I'm fine with that. But 155, he has the middleweight title. He goes back to 154 to fight Liam Smith for reasons
unknown.
Really it doesn't make any sense because he said leading up this fight, his next fight was going to be at 160. So all this seemed to be was a stall tactic. How can I stall things a little bit longer? Well, I'll go back to 54 to move up to 60 is like nothing. It just didn't make any sense. It's not like he had a title at 154 and was going back to defend that, then saying, okay, well, I'm going to go defend it one more time, and then I'm going to full-fledged go up to 160. That would be a little bit more understandable, but when you're literally doing it to go challenge somebody, it just didn't make any sense. You know what it reminds me of is late in a soccer game, right? The team's up by 2 goals. It's 2-0, because that's pretty much as high scoring as it's going to get. And the team in the lead takes the ball from, they take it from their end, they take it to the other side. Instead of shooting the ball, then they start kicking the ball back across midfield on the other side, kind of laying everything, just kicking around. That's all this fight was. He was just kicking the ball back into their side of the field. That's all it was. This was a pure stall tactic. There's no way to say that this wasn't. 51,000 plus in the stadium. I believe it. They were there. I just found it kind of funny because 10 days before, they were, we had 35,000 tickets. We expected to be a little bit over 40. Then all of a sudden, it barely surpasses the Manny Pacquiao fights. It's like they wanted that number in there because it was only by hundreds that it passed Manny Pacquiao against, I think it was against Joshua Clottey. And he had the fight against Margarito there. I don't know which one it passed, but it just seemed like it was all a show. That's all it seemed like. I know it was an event. So far, the early rumors of pay-per-view numbers say that it wasn't that big of an event outside of Texas. We'll see. I've heard 180. I've heard 63. I'm sure Oscar will come out and give us 500,000. Even though they remember when the Canelo Khan fight happened, they said that they were never going to officially release those numbers, which means it's not living up to what they want it to be. Because if the number was big, that shit will come out. It kind of reminds me of the Floyd Manny thing. They had to throw the bullshit and rumors out there. It was almost 6 million pay-per-view buys. Then they released the numbers. It was like 4.6 million, which why wouldn't you just come out with that? That was amazing numbers, So why try to fluff it up? I understand why you're fluffing it up if it's low, but like when it's a record breaker, it doesn't make any sense. I'm seeing so much similarities, and I got to get on Canelo fans. They're fans, Golden Boy, Canelo, all of them, because those were the same people a few years ago that was on Floyd for everything that like this. The fluffing up the numbers, the controlling of the weights, the controlling of the arena, controlling of the gloves, the controlling of... They want to control everything. And then the excuses come in why you don't do certain things, or this doesn't make money. And now you hear the flat fee bullshit argument. This was my favorite Floyd argument. I offered Manny $40 million. Flat fee. Well, that was just a dumb offer. You know how you know it was a dumb offer? Because Manny got knocked out and got $120 million. That's how you knew the bullshit. And that offer came in before he had been knocked out. That's how you knew the offer was bullshit. And now we're offering Triple G a flat fee. They say 8 figures. If it was more than 10, they would say it was more than 10. It's $10 million, which is fine. But it seems like that it would be... if you're thinking that this is going to be $1 million or $1 million pay-per-view seller, that it's going to be a little bit more. And this could be just the beginning parts of it. You know, maybe Triple G says, you know what, I don't want 10, I want 8, but upside over 500,000. You know, just different ways of doing it. But this flat fee bullshit is just a way of saying we're not ready for this fight yet, so we're going to throw out bullshit offers. And that's all this is. And then his fans are sitting there, no, you have to understand. No. Because you were the ones complaining about all this shit that Mayweather and his team did. And now you turned into the same guy. You just Saul Money Alvarez. You know, you can drop the Canelo.
You can't put the money in
well,
there
you know
the
what
numbers ain't that.
You know what I mean,
yeah.
though. You know. Hey, Floyd changed his name to Money before he started making the money. So you got to start somewhere.
Well, yeah. Okay. Change. We're gonna call him change right now.
Loose change. But it's just funny because if there's one thing you can say is we're going to be consistent. If you do this shit and I don't like it, I'm not going to just okay it because I like this fighter better. I'm not down with that. So when I see the same tactics going, then I'm going to call them out. You know, it was no secret that I was pulling for Manny in the Floyd fight. But after that fight, when the breakdown came and it was, oh, my shoulder. No, cut the bullshit. You got in the fucking ring. You didn't get the shot, so what? You got in the ring. If your shoulder was hurt, that's on you. That ain't on nobody else. Don't make excuses. You know, when it's our guy, I'll still nail him when he's talking that bullshit. And right now, that's all Canelo does. His whole team, Oscar's turned into Bob Arum, who he hated. Canelo has turned into Floyd, who he hated. And Canelo fans have turned into Floyd fans, who they hated. So it's just a funny transition that when your man's on top, and now, because Canelo is still the guy in boxing right now, as long as Manny will, for now, you know what I mean. Floyd is temporarily gone, and Manny, and who knows how this Vargas thing goes. But he's the man right now. No matter what, I don't care if he sold 300,000 or 600,000. Right now, he's the man because nobody else is selling that much on their own. So he's still the man, but he's not as much of the man as he thinks he is. He may be the A side, but like I told you earlier in the week, he can't treat Triple G like he's the C side. He's like the A- side. Yeah. You're not that much bigger. You're so big in Texas.
You know what I'm about to segue into? It says, I'll say at this particular point, even though it's going to be a contradiction of what I was talking about earlier, Canelo needs to go ahead and fight Pacquiao because they both are in the same predicament. Pacquiao losing steam, looking for Floyd to come back. Canelo's losing steam because he's picking terrible opponents. I think they fit. I think it fits because they can actually create a fight. He don't want to fight a middleweight right now, and you know, Manny, they bumped his pay-per-view to just regular HBO, so they're like, dude, we're not back.
No, he's on.
They
top ranked pay-per-view.
Okay, so now they put it on top, which is not going to do well because nobody wanted to see him fight Jesse Vargas. So the best option you got, since you're not fighting the middleweight, is Manny, who's known for just going up in weight classes anyways to fight. He's looking for, because I'm trying to figure out what the hell he's still fighting. So obviously it's for a reason. You got between the 4 biggest names in that welterweight division in the last 10 years have been Mayweather, Pacquiao, Cotto, and Canelo. Guess which only two didn't fight? So you might as well, because ain't nobody buying the shit y'all putting out right now. Helps either one of your legacy. You can usher Manny out the door and then solidify yourself as the A side. You can be 2-1 against 4 greats. You can lose to Manny and nobody care because they still love Manny so much that nobody cares. And still be the A side because he'll finally retire. But at the same time, what is Triple G gonna do? I say Triple G, you're gonna have to fight Danny Jacobs. Yep, if they stop playing around, because I'm hearing nonsense, they playing around. But after that, of course, what are you gonna do next? Billy Joe Saunders. So whenever they make their fight, which it seems like it's stalled out, it's gonna be for a unification of the 160 title. You know, Triple G can do his part. If Triple G lose, Danny Jacobs gonna fight Billy Saunders because he's gonna have 2 WBA belts and the other 2 belts. You know, but nobody foresees Billy Joe Saunders being a pay-per-view king after this is over with. You know, at the end of the day, is Canelo the A side? I say he's losing steam fast because if you're the A side, you can't just be the A side because people like your name and they think you're cute. You know, you have to produce. And to be perfectly honest, Triple G is producing better than Canelo at this point. So Triple G could be like, look, you ducking me, you coming for my belt, you the one flip-flopping weight classes, and you want to tell me because you got Oscar De La Hoya some sunshades on and a nice little shirt that I'm supposed to just wait for you? You gave up the belt to me, you clown. You think you gonna give me your belt because you scared to fight me, and then say you the A side of this equation.
You know the worst part? I don't know if it's the worst part, but a funny thing about this is we ain't talking about the fight itself,
Right?
Because it's early on in the process, but this is starting to feel like the Manny Floyd shit. This is why people are less
enthusiastic,
and they're shorter with it. Like, no, I'm not
with this.
I'm not doing this over again.
Right.
Because, and we're not talking about the fight because Canelo is. We always say this. He is a very intelligent, well-schooled fighter. He gets a lot less credit for his skill than he gets less credit than he deserves for his skill because he has a lot of skill, and he gets actually more credit for his star power than what is actually has been showing to translate into it. Is he, like I said, he's the biggest star. And truth be told, a lot of people who try to convince you that this fight was going to be pretty decent will also tell you that they don't think that he's a good style matchup for Triple G. I disagree. I actually think Canelo is going to pose the biggest threat for him at 160, even more than Jacobs. Because the one thing that I'm pretty sure Canelo can do is take a punch, though. Right. But take a punch. And you got to be able to take a beating from him, from Triple G, to have a chance. If you can't, you have no chance. If you can't take that punch, and we know as of right now, that's the biggest question, not the biggest question mark, that's the biggest red flag on Danny Jacobs is his ability to take a punch. He's already been knocked out. He got dropped by Sergio Mora. So there's that doubt in there where he may be able to hit Triple G hard, but I think once Triple G hits him, he's either going to go into retreat mode and survival mode, or he's just going to get stopped right then and there. Where I think Canelo poses a lot of issues. He's a smart boxer.
Yes.
He got that uppercut, the way that he was going to the body against Smith.
Nice. It was nice.
Great. Because I said a long time ago about Triple G, if you're going to go at him, go to the body. You got to be willing to take the punishment. Go to the body. Work him down. Take away that power later on.
The question, tactically speaking, how good is Canelo's body? Because all this up and down fluctuation, how solid can he be?
At this point, you think he's okay because of the age. He's 26.
Yeah, but like
if he's 30, this shit catches up. He's done.
Now, I'm glad you said his age. I like him. I really do. Salvador Sanchez died at what, 23?
think so.
He had a few signature fights by then, right? When Chavez Sr. was about 23 to 26, he had a few signature fights. That like moments that you could just stamp like this is. Now I don't mean to be cold, but I'll keep replaying. I'm trying to think of what's Canelo's real signature moment.
He doesn't have a signature moment yet.
And that's crazy.
He has signature wins that are still kind of that are still controversial, but he doesn't have that signature win. It's kind of like it like the Floyd thing. Like his signature moment, a lot of people go back all the way to the Castillo fight. Like that was his
Corrales.
Or Corrales. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
The Corrales fight. That was the moment. Like he's arrived. This is his moment. Right. And you go through Mayweather's run, you can kind of compare it to how Canelo's run right now is. You're winning your fights, you're selling tickets, you're even selling some pay-per-views. What's your signature moment?
I mean, that's the thing. He had...
At least he had it.
Yeah, he had... Because to me, I would say...
You could put that...
Nobody counts Hernandez because people don't realize that Hernandez was good. Now, I just think of revisionist history. But... Definitely Corrales. The Gotti thing is because it was brutal.
The Gotti thing was he was making a statement, and then even the Judah thing because there was some
because of the comeback and the quote unquote not,
and then in the fight in the middle of
the fight. Roger was knocking motherfuckers out. And can I think of any? You know what? The only other because Hatton, that would have been a signature retirement if he would have did it. Because Hatton was undefeated too at the time,
and you know
it was, but it's overlooked.
And you know what Canelo's moment is right now? His signature moment right now is the knockout of Amir Khan. And if that's your signature moment,
it's not a big signature moment.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If anybody points to anything, they're going to point to two things. They're going to Kirkland and Khan. That's it.
And that's the Khan thing.
There's two asterisks on those things, unfortunately.
And no Aaron Wolf is like shit. That's why I say he just need a straight up fight, like a straight up fight. Because I can't think. I mean, most fighters, and I guess this is just the era we talking about right now. You know, even though I was and still am per se a Danny Garcia fan, Danny Garcia's Matisse fight, that's a signature moment.
Yeah.
You know, Postal beating Matisse was a signature moment. Crawford beating Gamboa was a signature moment. Ward beating Dawson was a signature moment. Kovalev beating Bernard, signature moment. Like, I can keep running down fighters and think about it like, yeah, he did that. You know, Maidana beating Broner was a signature moment for him. When I think about Canelo to be the face of boxing, I'm like, I can't, you know. I mean, Triple G's has a bigger signature moment with Lemieux than those two knockouts because he beat him with a jab, a mean jab. Like it's like, come on, man. Like you can't, you know. When we think of Nicholas Walters has a signature moment, like
there's a lot of fighters who have them. I just don't. Yeah, I don't think he really has it unless you want to count Kirkland and Canelo. But a lot of people are going to be like, yeah. But you know, it's kind of like because nobody's going to say Triple G beating Brook is a signature moment, even if he broke. No, because he was too. Even though the weight said it wasn't,
he was big small.
He was exactly. There was still a size differential no matter what.
Right.
You know, and the asterisk of him coming up, even if the weight wasn't that big, it just.
That's why I say
he's lacking certain things that the upper tier fighters had once they made it to where you were considered the biggest star in boxing. He doesn't have it yet.
And to be promoted by Oscar has signature moments. So it's like, dude, you know you can't because what's gonna happen is people are gonna look at Canelo in the future as a scam. Like a guy with great talent, great skill, but he's not going to be looked at in the same way because of he got the names, But then it's like you got the names, but everything like all of his wins technically have an asterisk. You know, the Lopez win. I can't talk nothing about that because Lopez wound up breaking Ortiz's jaw. It was supposed to be Ortiz's fight, so you got to wipe that off. Mosley was 192 when they fought. That's what they're gonna say. You know,
and this is, I want to say this before I forgot that, and it doesn't mean that he can't have it.
Right.
He just needs to go for it.
Right.
Because,
that's what I'm saying.
Because a guy like, say, Bernard Hopkins, he didn't have his signature moment until he was an older fighter. What was he, like 36 when he fought Tito and Oscar?
Yeah.
That's when he finally had his signature moment.
And then Pavlik.
He hadn't had, but up until then, he was kind of in that boat where, but he wasn't a star, but even though he was middleweight champion for this long, he didn't have that moment.
Right.
It wasn't until he was in that tournament and went through those guys, and all of a sudden, man, you know what? Bernard Hopkins may be one of the best middleweights ever, but it wasn't. He had to have that moment, and I don't think they understand that yet. He needs that moment. He's got to go for it, even if it isn't against Triple G. You put him in against somebody equally as big. Maybe it is Lemieux. Maybe it's a Stevens. Maybe it's a Billy Joe Saunders. You know, maybe it is something like that.
That's why I just say go big and go Manny.
That's what I'm saying.
Just go big, go Manny. Why not? Why not?
Asterisk.
Yeah, no, because at the end of the day, there's certain fighters, especially when you get to the top tier, there are no more excuses. Think about it. When Bernard lost to Kovalev, he's like, dude, it's Bernard Hopkins. I don't care if he's 75. If Bernard Hopkins is fighting at 75, it counts as a win because Bernard Hopkins has been winning forever and a day. You know, if Floyd was to come back out of retirement at 40, and he loses, people are not going to look at him the same way they look at Sugar Ray Leonard retiring 36 times. They're going to say, well, we don't care that he retired and came back. That's his damn problem. You know?
I don't agree with the Manny thing. I don't think it happens. If he had the title and they did it at 145 and a half, 154 and a half, 154 and a half, maybe. No title on the line, there's no reason for Manny to do that.
Yeah, but he got a 154 title now.
But he's already won a junior middleweight title.
No.
Even if it wasn't at 154, he still won that title.
Right. I'm talking about for boxing's sake as far as big. Okay, the biggest fights to date is going to be Ward Kovalev, right? Then when Miss Cleo says, call me now, one day in some far out dating space is going to be Golovkin and Canelo. The only other name that I can think of that's a big name that could make a big fight would be Manny Canelo. Now, you could throw Timothy Bradley in there as the dark horse, but if you could make a fight with Timothy Bradley, you could have made a fight with Manny Pacquiao.
He's more likely to fight a Tim Bradley.
Because Timothy Bradley can't hurt him punching wise.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's what I'm saying.
That'll be an asterisk, too.
And that's another thing, though. That's another thing that Canelo does. Like I said, I said this a long time ago. I had to go back and kind of listen, like, what did I say about this? And I kind of found it. It's like, okay, that's what I said. But when it came to Lara and Trout and Mayweather, he didn't listen to his team. He had them make the fight. There wasn't that risk of getting hurt. All of a sudden, it's Triple G. There's a risk. Now he's okay with the Golden Boy playing the business manager part of it. It is what it is, man. If he goes and fights Billy Joe Saunders, you're not gonna hear me complain about that next. Even though I think Billy Joe Saunders is a fucking a chump, you know, but that's just him personally. You're going after a middleweight champion, a true middleweight champion. Fight him at 60. I don't care if he can't hurt you. At least you're fighting where you should be fighting.
Now I'm gonna go off.
You're not on Sanders. I'm going off more than Canelo.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, if he does that, if he fights a Stevens, I'm not gonna. If you're going in there against threats and you're going, then so be it. I can't say nothing.
Yeah. But I ain't
But
gonna
when
lie.
you go this backward stuff, the sidestep stuff, or you drop the title and go fight Smith, or you say you're going to fight Canelo, you're going to fight Triple G, but then you go fight Khan, and then you drop the belt. That's where all this bullshit comes from. It doesn't come just from each individual thing, and everybody does that. Well, this one case, no, there's other shit leading up to it. You got to take the sum of the whole.
Right.
You can't just take one thing individually. That's why when people were comparing what Canelo and Triple G are doing is the same thing. No, because the sum of what Canelo has done is so much different than Triple G. If he continues to do something like that, if he fought a junior middleweight next, then yeah, we're probably going to start talking now about Triple G.
I think what happened was, people keep bringing up, and you can tell Oscar and even people who talk about boxing say the same things. They following the Mayweather-Pacquiao model. But honestly, you should have followed the Ward-Kovalev model. Because what happened is there is no date. It's just up in the air. See, the thing about Floyd and Manny was they tried to make a fight twice before. So it was not, it was we couldn't come to an agreement, I got to move on. We couldn't come to an agreement, we got to move. Then us as fans like, look, it's going to happen because this is stupid now. Like, now it's stupid. But with these two guys, it
just started stupid.
Right. It's just like, y'all didn't even, y'all put out in the air y'all was going to fight each other. Y'all never even negotiated a fight. Y'all never made a date. Y'all never did anything. Y'all just say, it's up in the air. We going to fight. Okay. But put a date on it.
Well, it's September.
Yeah, but exactly.
Whatever the Mexican Independence holiday is.
That's a month.
No, whatever Mexican Independence Day, whatever the weekend of the 16th, whatever that weekend is, that's when it's going to fight.
But like you said, 18, right? 2018.
Yeah, May 5th. It's a exact date. I know the exact. Well, I can go on the date. I can look at it. I can tell you what the date would be. It's not hard because he fights on Cinco de Mayo on Mexican Independence Day, which we just had last week.
Right. So, but you said 18.
Yeah, well, that's where I think it's going.
So if it's 18, what you gonna do for 17? Like, that's the question. Like, y'all didn't you don't have a 17 plan? You just because you're gonna wait fans out of caring.
Oh, it would fall right on. Well, that kind of changes a little bit. I didn't realize it falls exactly on Mexican Independence Day, the 16th of 2017. Still ain't gonna happen. You're still competing with football. Not gonna happen. May 5th, 2018. It's not competing with shit. You're already starting to get into the dog days of the baseball season. You're starting to ease into that. You're not competing against anything. That's why it's going to happen May 5th, 2018.
So they better make a plan now for what they're going to do for the whole.
Well, they can't because they already know they're going to push it. This is why we're here, because they know that they want to push it anyway. This is why. And like I said, Triple G turns 36 before that fight. If it goes to the 2018, he turns 36. That's a magical year. That shit. Most of the times when the people start to lose.
Okay. Well, if you're gonna look, I'm gonna be a little devious on this. If you're gonna be devious, at least be smart enough to say you made the fight and it fell through. Now.
Well, that's what he tried to do at the end of the fight by saying we already offered them more than they've ever made.
And you're like, dude, but that's my point. Like, no, start a negotiation. Now that your thumb's messed up, and then say, look, man, we just couldn't do it. We was trying to get made, but we just can't do it. So we're gonna have to move on. We're gonna re-up it, But just to start out saying, yeah, we're gonna fight. We're gonna, that reminds me of when we was kids. We're gonna fight after school. I ain't say what day though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call my cousin and my big brother. He gonna be here next week. Oh, I thought we was fighting today. No, I didn't say that. Like, can we just talk about that? The fight?
We've already went way too fucking long on that. Let's go to something even more exciting. Willie Monroe versus Gabe Rosado. Well, no, that's not gonna work.
I was sentimental because I wanted Gabe to win because as just a Rosado fan, but Willie beat him. He beat him, but yeah.
Willie won. Gabe is faded, which I said. Let's move on because that was excruciating to watch.
It was it? Okay, excruciating.
Yeah, it was excruciating.
As excruciating as Klitschko Fury?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it was more. Because at least Klitschko Fury, we were seeing Klitschko lose for the first time in 10 years. So yes, we've seen Gabe lose plenty. And that was not a big deal. Diego De La Hoya starts off the pay-per-view. Looks pretty good. He's okay. Like I said, this card
said shit.
Yeah. let's just move on from there. JoJo Diaz looked good. He actually had people talking against Cancio. Dominant start to finish. Finally got them to stop the fight. What round was that?
Nine?
Yeah, I think it was ninth round. JoJo just keeps on making new fans. Every time people see him, they want to see his next fight. They like what they see, and he's done nothing to change that. I wish he had a little bit of an eraser. He ain't got it, but
he can beat you. He can beat you down to the erasure.
He's technically good. He's got the heart. He'll put pressure on you. What's not to really like about JoJo?
What I like is his evolution, because I was hearing him talk about his footwork. And at the same time they were talking about his footwork, they were talking about, right before they talked about his footwork, they was talking about him wanting to sit on his punches more. So for some, that could limit your footwork now, And I remember him fighting early. He can move. When he wants to move, he can move. Maybe more so hip movement, but he can get in and out of there when he wants to. So to me, it looks like a fighter who's choosing to evolve, because eventually he's going to get to a space where he can mix in the planting his feet and moving his hips the way he used to, which the feet's gonna follow if you don't have necessarily the footwork. I actually think he does. He just can't use it because he's planting his feet now. So he's gonna be interesting because his accuracy, the way he punches, his punch selection, which between him, Errol Spence, and Canelo, and to a degree Triple G, they have great punch selection. Like whatever you could throw, they'll throw it. And they'll throw it accurately. Sharp too. So I'm like, keep that up. And they was trying to compare him to Lomachenko. I had Lomachenko as an animal, man. And he's just hey, slow down.
I think it's still a different level.
Yeah, slow down.
Speaking of punch selection, I think he has punch selection. Who's good? Alexander Usyk. His unanimous decision over Krzysztof Glowacki. He got comfortable fast. He got in a rhythm fast. Glowacki could never get to him. He just boxed the shit out of him. He used his jab. He used movement. He just everything that Glowacki threw at him, he countered it perfectly. He blocked it. He wasn't there to be hit sometimes. What we were saying leading into this fight was
straight beats wide,
and his skill level would show. Eventually, we thought it would show.
Yeah.
And I thought it would take a few rounds because Glowacki got, even his last two fights, that's a higher level than what Usyk had been fighting. But it took him about
10 seconds.
30 seconds. I give him 30 seconds to really get into that groove. And once he got in the groove, Glowacki, he didn't turn it on like he should have. I mean, he should have just went for it. At a certain point, even though I was watching the British feed, the guy in Poland had him like right in that fight until the end.
I don't know how.
But I mean, he should have went all out. But I mean, it wouldn't have made any difference. Usyk, as long as he can stay there, because he's a big 200-pounder. He looked much bigger than Glowacki did. He's going to be trouble for anybody if he can fight Lebedev, if he fight Hook. He's not going to fight Bellew. Bellew was on that telecast, and Bellew didn't sound like he was really high up on fighting Usyk anytime soon. He's got his fight with BJ Flores. He ain't worried about that.
He's just, that's what happens when you fight somebody who frustrates the hell out of you. Can I get inside? No. Can I work from the outside? No. Can I get rough in the middle? No. What the hell can I do? Well, you're just supposed to go dirty. Look, fuck it. I can't beat the jab. I can't beat the hook. I can't beat the uppercut. I can't. Fuck it.
You go Orlando Salido.
Yeah, you just go dirty. Like, look, man, coach, whatever we train for, that's not gonna work tonight. And of course, that never happened. It was just like, and that's a corner issue. You know, even though that's his style, like, look, your style is not gonna work like this tonight. You need to improvise. And I think that's a detriment to most fighters now because everybody's stuck on their style. Sometimes you're gonna have to change in the heat of the moment because what you're doing ain't working. And that was the thing about that particular fight. He know he ain't a better boxer. He know, okay, man, I can't work this distance. You know, and he know as big as he, man, you kidding me? Man, look, man. I said, look, dude, yeah, I hit you in the nuts. So what?
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta
You
do.
know, yes, I hit him on the hip. So what? I need him in the shin on the way in to stop him. So I stepped on his foot. Yes, I did. I need to do something to change this momentum. I need Ben Wallace's headband, and I need some ugly defense right now. Like, but it is what it is. I mean, the question is, who's next? You know, and the question is, what the hell can he eat to stay there?
Well, he's still young. What is he? 20? How old is he? Oh, he's not that young.
He ain't young enough to look. That scale. I don't care how
He's a big dude. There's no doubt about it. He will eventually be a small heavyweight at one point. I say the one thing that people probably looked at was like, his power didn't show up as much as they thought that it might. But it seemed like towards the end, Glowacki was like, I finally got to go for it towards the end. It seemed like that's when Usyk kind of got to him. He's like, okay, we're good now. He kind of had a little bit, I give him, he had a little bit of that Rigondeaux thing, you know, like, where people like, he's just popping me, and I knock Rigo down. And once you knock Rigo down, he comes
pissed
back.
him off.
I mean, look at what Donaire got him down. He comes back in the 11th round and 12th round and just dominates those 2 rounds.
Yeah.
That Japanese guy knocked down twice, right?
Oh yeah.
He comes back in the next round
like,
and just beats the shit out of him. Usyk had that, like, Glowacki came at him. It's like, okay, now I got to go for it. And Usyk was like, nah, you're good. And Glowacki was like, I think you're right. I think I'm just going to go ahead and sit here and get that 12 rounds.
The crazy part about it, that's a boxer's dilemma.
Yeah, see, Usyk is 29. He's not a young guy.
Yeah,
he's that new breed of, I've been in the Olympics a long time,
he's one
Ukrainian guy.
He is one happy meal away.
Yeah, and especially at that age.
Yeah. A boxer's dilemma is always that, like, do I really have the power to knock somebody out? Yeah. Are they really going to work to get close enough so I could really just lay this hammer down? No. You know, it's beating you mentally before you can actually put that knockout in there. You know, I like that style per se because you make the other fighter quit. Less work you got to do when the other fighter's like, man, I'm going to throw this. Nah, because he going to hit me with that. I'm going to throw. Nah. Nah. Like, hey, well, good, cool. Stay your stupid ass over there and lose this fight. You don't throw, you don't win. Just my opinion.
Selfishly, I would like to see him on TV in the U.S. Usyk. He has that kind of skill set. But if he's smart, he stays his ass in Russia and Germany where they like the cruisers.
And they pay him.
So we're probably just going to keep on fighting the streams of them. The fight of the weekend was a fight that we glossed over. A lot of people glossed over it. We talk about it in passing, no breakdowns of it. And then it's one of those fights that's like, it was so good that it starts trickling around Twitter. It starts getting email. It's on wherever, Facebook. If you're on Facebook, following, but everybody, you got to go see Shinsuke Yamanaka versus Anselmo Moreno 2. And it delivered. 2 aging guys at 118 who already had a real close fight, who knew each other, and just went for it. 5 knockdowns in the fight, 4 by Yamanaka. The last 2 was the ones that stopped it. Moreno knocks him down in the 4th round.
I think he got knocked down the 3rd.
He got knocked down in the 1st, the 6th, and twice in the 7th. A back and forth fight. A fun fight. 2 guys who are highly skilled, and For me, one of the best parts is listening to the Japanese announcers because
Yeah.
exactly. They used to have this show on TV called I Want to Be on a Japanese Game Show.
Yeah.
Like that. They
That
go
was
crazy
hilarious.
over everything, even the little things that aren't big.
He did it.
It's the best, man. These guys just went at it. They gave us a Fight of the Year candidate. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again to see. But I mean, it was back and forth. I thought honestly, as back and forth as it was, I thought Yamanaka was in control of that fight. Besides the middle part when he got knocked down, started off. I thought he was in control. Of course, the finish 6-7, he was in control. Moreno had that little moment in the middle, but I thought Yamanaka was kind of in. I felt he was in control of that fight.
The first 3 rounds with the first 2 knockdowns, 3-4 rounds with the first 2 knockdowns, consummate hooking with a hooker. You know, who was closer, got caught who was further, because both of them went down the same way. Both 2 hooks, you know, one came in first, bam, dudes hit the canvas. Moreno, I knew something was up because, you know, his stance is so wide, but at the same time,
He's trying to hold his shorts up.
yeah, that too. That was hilarious. I was like, pick up, man. Where's your corner? Put your shorts up. Pick up. Don't sagging in the ring. But he kept that jab to the body, but the way he kept coming up, it's like, it's too predictable. It's too predictable. And when he got hit with that double jab and he came over the top, I was like, yeah, dude, you gonna have problems now.
Yeah, because he's just going straight back.
Yeah. But
a good fighter's going to pick up on that and eventually get you.
And he got him. He just got him standing there. Because I'm like, yeah, you going to get it.
Admiring his work.
But the last knockdown made me crack up. Because he just took the mouthpiece out. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Look, man. And that really wasn't a knockdown to me. That was just like, man, look, I done had enough. You know, what am I going to do here? Like, because I think the fourth one was an uppercut. The one before that was an uppercut. And the way he fell, I was like, you sure you want to get up? You sure you want to get up? Because in Japan, I don't know what it is. They gave him that look like, let me give you 1, 2, you sure about this? You 3, you sure about this? He like, fuck it, I'll do it. But it was a great fight. Great action. And the sad part about it is, the great part and the sad part is this. All the fights, this is that year where all the fights, we back to that. All the fights are like, they're the ones to watch.
Yeah.
All the fights, everybody, this is going to be, man, that's some bullshit. That's some bullshit. Like maybe the only few fights that delivered this year, you know.
Yeah, that's it. Besides your Fight of the Year type candidate fights, besides those, there ain't been shit going on in boxing. Before, and I'm glad you said that because I'll just segue into that. Before we get into the only fight that we're going to talk about, Linares and Crolla. Peter Watling, listener, he's reading this book and it was basically, you know, how do you rate, you know, depending on where I think it was something like that, where you live, how you view
the 1 to 10.
Yeah, you know about that?
Yeah.
Okay. And so he wanted me to ask the listeners, and I want you guys to hit us up on Twitter, Cheap Seats Box, or email us, cheapseatsboxing@gmail.com. How happy are you on a scale of 1 to 10 with boxing? And which country are you from sending this? Because if you're from the UK, you're probably going to be a lot higher than the people from the US. You know, if you're a fan, and maybe you're a Mexican that's living here from Mexico, that maybe you're not as happy. Maybe you are happy. Maybe you're starting to see people on the rise. Maybe you like Oscar Valdez. Maybe you like what Canelo's doing. But I'm going to imagine that the U.S. is going to have a little bit lower scoring on how happy they are. I told him I was waiting. I wanted to wait a week because we came off the best week. Because, I mean, the Brook fight and Triple G was better than expected. Chocolatito and Quadras was way better than
I
expected.
think they're trying to talking about a rematch.
Yeah, he wants a rematch. He said, "To hell with Estrada. I don't want Estrada no more. I want that guy." You got to give him credit because he's like,
Double up.
Estrada was my toughest opponent until I fought Quadras. Quadras is now my toughest opponent. Now I want a rematch. You can't do nothing but respect that. And Estrada just dropped both of his belts to move up to 115. He'll be fighting next month. But where are you from? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with your boxing scene, with boxing in general? Not maybe necessarily yours, but just boxing in general, because you see a lot of different things in the UK than you see here in the States. We have some listeners in Canada. There's some that are in Eastern Europe. There are even some in Asia. I doubt we're going to get a lot of correspondence from there. Mainly UK, USA. 0 to 10. How happy are you with the boxing scene? And also 0 to 10. How excited are you on what is on the horizon?
I'm as happy with boxing as Angelina Jolie is with Brad Pitt right now. That's how happy.
I'm going to say that's not very much, so.
I'm as happy as Klan members at Colin Kaepernick right now. I'm as happy.
Why? He's half white. Why are they worried about half of that? That's down.
That doesn't count. It's America. I'm as happy as the Nation of Islam at Donald Trump right now. Like, I am not. Look, if we talking about the young up and coming fighters.
And if you're Donald Trump, don't get Don King to come speak for you. Go ahead.
Hell yeah, get Don King to come speak for you.
He did.
Yeah.
You saw it?
Yeah. Fuck no. I'm listening to Don King. What the hell am I listening to Don King and Donald Trump for?
Oh, well, he was.
Only in America, for real.
Do you?
No, I don't want to. Look, no, hell no. Hell no. What? No.
He let one slip out. He couldn't help it.
Look, man, I ain't even. Look. Them two Dons could. You know what? I ain't even gonna get that. We don't talk boxing, even though we're gonna talk. The young guns, I give them a 7. The stars, I give them a borderline 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about this a long time ago. And it's come to fruition. The stars have blown their opportunity. Say what you want about them. When you name a top name in boxing, the bulk of them has blown their opportunity.
And I think that's one of the reasons why it left the door open for a guy like Chocolatito to get into where people were already talking about him, but now it's kind of gone a little more mainstream where like, who is this little guy that everybody's saying is the best fighter in the world? This wouldn't happen if you had the welterweights fighting each other or the middleweights fighting each other or a better heavyweight scene where everybody's fighting each other. He wouldn't be in that position. You said like the up-and-comers, not just the up-and-comers, but the underdog guys who you wouldn't necessarily think would be grabbing the people's attention. And I think that's one of the reasons he's where he's at right now.
It's crazy, but, when I think about Danny Garcia, it's like, damn, dude, you had him. You could have been on top of the world. When I think about Canelo, you could have been on top of the world. You blew it. Not to say that these guys can't do something or get on the path to get back up there, but if they would have just stuck to the plan or to the script of what they were doing, it wouldn't have been no questions. I can't talk bad about Peter Quillen because he actually fought people and lost. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to, but he actually took the fights. I can't say nothing about Danny Jacobs because he took the fights. I can't say nothing about Triple G because Triple G's trying to actually be an undisputed champion. That's why there's so much respect for, like I said, Ward Kovalev. They're not playing. They're taking this moment for real, But everybody else, that's why I'm so hard on Adonis Stevenson. Like, really? Like, why do you count? You have numerous underdogs. When we think about good fighters, a lot of them not holding belts. When we think about the people we want to see, A lot of those guys aren't champions. And when we think about the champions, a lot of those guys are fighting nobody. So what does that say about the quote-unquote stars of boxing? If I want to see a welterweight, I want to see Errol Spence. I don't want to see nobody else because everybody else playing around. You know? The same thing with Pacquiao and Vargas. No disrespect to Vargas, but the hell you doing? You should have just retired if this was what you was gonna do. You know. The same thing when I like I said, Cotto was one of my favorite fighters. With that 155 crap, like not a good look, B. You know.
Don't worry, he's got Lamont Peterson coming up.
That beard coming back, okay. I mean, even like Lamont Peterson's best performance was controlling the back of that fight with Garcia, and Garcia is the champion. Oh, so it's like, who would I rather see? You know, Crolla, great ass story. Now he's holding the belt, but the point is, he ain't from here. I'd rather watch him though. You know, we talked about Joshua years ago. Yeah, he holding the belt now, but I would rather watch him. You know, we talked about people Doug and Golovkin. Yeah, I would rather watch Triple G. The Brook thing, I give it to him, whatever. But you know, Tony Bello beat the shit out of Michael B. Jordan and became champion. I'd rather talk about him. Eubank Jr. is about to have more buzz than most Americans.
Well, that's just wrong.
But if he keeps going at it, that's the reality of it. You know?
So, like I said, shoot us an email or hit us on Twitter. Where you're from and how happy on a scale of 1 to 10 are you with the boxing scene right now? The one fight, like we mentioned, Jorge Linares against Anthony $1 Million Crolla, baby. Crolla, the Cinderella story. You're starting to see a lot of allegations of the juice floating around. My buddy Vince he's been railing against the juice. He looks a little ripped. His back is not full of acne yet, so I'm gonna just chalk it up to that near-death experience and get his life together and focus in on the boxing. This fight...
Fuck that. Vinny Paznia got a movie, didn't he? Right? Didn't he?
Yeah.
So if he almost died, came back and boxed, and got a movie...
They're gonna be a British version.
Exactly.
This fight, like Crawler's last 2 fights, they think he's going to lose. And on paper, Jorge Linares is way more skilled and a way better fighter than Anthony Crolla. He's going to box him. He's going to move. He's going to pepper him. He's going to hurt him. Is Crolla got that rabbit's foot still with him? Is he going to be able to withstand the barrage like he did against Barroso? Because Barroso came at his ass last time, and it was finally about round 5. Or was it 4? Like you saw Barroso like oh shit,
up.
And it's like, and now he went after him, hit him, got him to the body. Crolla's gonna have to do even more of that, but at least Linares is susceptible to being hit and hurt. This is either going to be another miraculous win and a storybook year for Crolla, if he withstands it, or Jorge Linares is going to finally take that slipper off of Cinderella. You know what I mean? Because this really is a Cinderella story.
The crazy thing about it is, boxing-wise, Linares has the advantage.
And it's not even close.
But unorthodox tactics is what makes this interesting, because you have to win by shutout or knockout because of where you at, because of who you fighting, because people don't want to see him lose. So you have to watch out for if you get hit with 2 good shots.
They will give Crolla every opportunity to get out of trouble.
Exactly. This is the consummate. Roy fought James Toney. Was like, look, you better win this 12th round. You know how they judging this shit. So you got to win everything. So you got to stay alert. The issue with that is Crolla is very unorthodox with the way he wins now, because it's not necessarily it's not skill, it's not just will, it's also just taking advantage of small moments and changing momentum. So you got to be cognizant of the fact that if you slack, you might shift the fight in a completely different place, because that's his MO now. Like, yeah, you took 1, 2, and 3, but you see when you took a break because you wanted to save your energy for the next round, I jumped on you, and now you're in panic mode. Now you don't know what to do. Now you shifted the momentum of the fight, and I got you where I wanted. Now your skills out the window because your brain is all fried. So this makes it an interesting fight. I still take Linares, but
and it's hard to go against him.
Yeah, but it makes an interesting fight.
I mean, he knows what it's like. I mean, look what he did with Kevin Mitchell when he was in the UK, and he was down on a couple of them cards. Even though I thought he was actually winning. I thought he was slightly ahead of Kevin Mitchell when they stopped the fight. But it's in the UK. This is what happens. So he knows that he's going to have to put it, like, he's going to have to put an exclamation point on this win. He can't just win a close fight because he loses a decision in a close fight. Skill-wise, he has the ability. He's one of the best boxers out there. He's just got the fatal flaw of the chin. He's a very much more skilled Amir Khan. Amir Khan, it was fast, skilled, but not diversity.
Right.
Linares has that, but they both have that fatal flaw of the chin. And he better hope that Crolla isn't juicing, because if he is juicing, he's going to stay strong all the way through all 12.
And we ain't talking about Arizona or Snapple.
And I always say, take whatever you feel in the beginning, take that. My heart says Crolla, but when I first see that fight, I'm saying that's a Linares victory. I'm going to say Linares stops him in the 10th round.
After 2 knockdowns. Both fighters goes down.
Both fighters go down.
Because I don't think Linares is going to get through this fight without getting hit with a barrage. And that's just, which is going to have to force him to actually hit the gas even harder, because you ain't getting out of town, with the belt unless you beat the brakes off of him. So I'll give it 8 with him getting off the mat.
I'm gonna stop him in 8. Okay.
Yeah.
If Crolla does do it, it's gonna be like the last 2 from a body shot. He's gonna get him to the body after he's worn him out. Probably somewhere around the late 11, even 12th round. But I just can't see it, man. I don't know. I'm just gonna follow my gut.
I mean,
actually, I'm rooting for Crolla. I want Crolla to win.
If Crolla wins, I think it'd be in 4. I think he's just gonna have to go out there and touch that chin
and then kill the body.
He's gonna have to just pick a moment where, dude, I gotta end it now. Cause you can't. I don't think he can stretch this fight out. I think the longer he tries to stretch this fight out, the worse it's gonna get. So I think if he was to win, he would have to win early.
Last 2 things, no big deal. Andy Ruiz pulls out of the fight against Hughie Fury on the Tyson Fury Klitschko undercard.
Oh.
It is what it is. And Tyson Fury is going into drug testing for the fight. Fuck, he should. That's what the fighters are supposed to do. Hopefully, Klitschko's doing the same thing. I don't even know why that was a story. because the little scandal, doping scandal. I tell you one thing.
Batman uses drugs?
I'm gonna tell you right now. If Tyson Fury was black,
oh man,
let me tell you something. He gets treated insanely awful, man. The allegations.
Fury lives matter.
Hands up, don't punch. Yeah. I'm telling you, man, Fury. They don't like Fury, man.
Yeah. If Fury was black, he'd get shot reading the car shot. We killed a man dressed like Batman, standing outside.
The Cape Crusader?
Mom, you shot Batman.
Oh, that's about it, man. Any last thing you want to hit on?
Man, let's just hope this landscape gets better.
Yeah, so email us, cheapseatsboxing@gmail.com. Follow the show on Twitter and hit us up on Twitter how happy you are with the boxing scene on a scale of 1 to 10 and where you're from if you don't mind. Other than that, that's it, man. JP.
This is where the fighters fight and the fans commentate.
And we do it just like you for the cheap seats because we ain't buying no tickets, goddammit. Peace.
Please believe that I'll never be shamed again. Again, I'll be the next heavyweight champion. Call me crazy, but no one can fake